I think moving ahead, this is our time. I really believe this is our time collectively. Because as Lorene mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago, we're just in that phase where history is starting to repeat itself again. So this part of the history is the resistance, and we're going to, because we have to come on the other side positively with this resistance.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has become very evident is the damage that has been done by not teaching the truth about our history. There are a lot of people that just don't understand where Black people are coming from because they just don't understand what we've been through. It's very hard to understand systemic racism when you haven't been taught about white supremacy. And I think one of the things that we've got to do is we come through this reckoning, and this is where we can play a role, but where Black museums and people who care about Black history and archive Black history and understand what's happened for the past 400 years in this country can really be utilized as resources, is to help teach people. I'm the child of an educator. I learned my Black history from my mom, and she's the one who really, sparked my interest in understanding who I am and learning more about, where I come from, and, trying to chase my genealogy, as well as understanding, the history and kind of how we got to where we are. And that's, one of the things that's kind of driven, my interest in, what we've been doing, and, kind of keeps me going. And I think we've come to an understanding of how important that is. We really do have to reckon with our history in this country and deal with the hard history. We focus more on post civil rights, where everything is first and we're breaking new ground, but we don't ever forget the blood that was spilled to allow us to get there, right? And I think that's becoming important. It's important for Black children to understand who they are. We were not born slaves. We came to this country and we were enslaved, but we had a much broader and bigger impact before we got here, and we have in every aspect of the history of this country made an impact. We've been here the entire time. So we have an initiative that we've started called Teach the Truth, Tell the Truth, where we really do want there to be more of a national standard in terms of how Black history is taught, driven by people who are experts in it, writing the standards and writing the curriculum and creating new materials. So, we take the, although we are, again, we're Blaxploitation and we're funk and we're, a lot of the fun aspects of the Black experience here, we do take the history piece very seriously because, again, we've been through these times before. We make progress and then there's resistance and there's pushback. And a lot of times that resistance and pushback is violent. So this is nothing new, but it needs to stop. It's time for us to stop this. And I think, one of the things that is, I think, lost about the 70s is it was a time when we were all proud to be Black. I mean, Black was beautiful. We used to say it all the time, Black is beautiful. Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. We were, very in touch with our African roots. We were all trying to find out where we came from. Roots was a huge TV series during that time. So it was a very Black period of time. And, we kind of need to get back to, being proud of who we are, being clear about who we are, and, and really demanding some respect for our history, some respect for our contribution, and paying homage to the people who got us here, and just making sure that people don't forget what we've been through. So it's a very interesting time for people who are who love Black history, who are connected to it, to kind of reconcile the past with where we are and make sure that moving forward we end up in a better place.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the things that, again, as we're trying to figure out what can we do to kind of extend the educational reach of our exhibitions in our collection, I started doing some research, And, I'm not going to, say how old I am. Clearly, I'm a child of the 70s. But again, most of my learning of Black history came from my mom. I get a little bit in school, but not a lot. And I think the thing that was so enraging, candidly, to find out is that hasn't changed. There are not national standards for teaching Black history in this country. It's on a state by state basis. Some states do it better than others, but it is not, a situation where you learn Black history throughout your educational years. Maybe you get it in the 7th grade, maybe you start in the 9th grade, but Black history needs to be taught, pre-K through 12. Again, we have 401 years of Black history in this country. It's not that we were just, slaves and then there was Martin Luther King, right? There's a whole period of time between those two periods, and then hip hop. Those are like the 3 things that get covered. Like you learn about Martin, you learn about Rosa, and maybe, Frederick Douglass or maybe George Washington Carver, but you never learn about the fact that we have fought and died in every war in this country. We continually fight to make things better here. And when we make things better for Black people, it becomes better for everybody. You don't learn about all of the strong Black women and the contributions they've made to this country throughout history. So that needs to be changed. You've got individual teachers who are fighting this battle, teacher by teacher, who are doing the right thing and trying to teach history, but they need to be supported. You've got individual schools who are trying to make differences, but they need to be supported. There needs to be a national effort and a national standard to support the teaching of the truth. So telling the truth about the enslavement of Black people, the truth about white supremacy, the truth about, the violence that has occurred against Black people in this country, to be learning about the Tulsa race riots because you saw it on HBO. That's not the way that's supposed to work, right? So there needs to be a change in how education of Black history is taught in this country. It is important for Black children to be able to see a true assessment of who they really are and the contributions that Black people have made to this country. It can't just be that we were slaves. So, our initiative is, we've got a petition on change to try change.org to try to change the way Black history is taught. The textbooks are whitewashing and erasing our history. The textbooks, depending on what state you live in, they're completely different. They are depicting slavery like it was an immigration program or a work study program. They are not telling the truth about what has happened during the time we've been here, and that has to change. We cannot allow people to erase our history, because when you don't think people have any value, it's very easy to shoot them in the street. When you don't think people have made a contribution, it's very easy to continue to discriminate against them and to hate for all of the stereotypical images and things that you've seen and not really understand the truth about people. And that really has to change. We're never going to get to where we need to be, as this melting pot of a country until we deal with, what has happened in the past and until we set it right. And that's the way to do it. That's a critical way to do it.
And in addition to that, we all need to come to terms with, for those of us who haven't, and understand that in telling this truth, there is a lot of atrocities that have not been discussed, that have not been written about, that even the two of us are not privy to. And we have to be able to be ready to deal with that, talk about it, and teach it in a way where, yeah, you're going to get angry, you may get pissed, but you have to understand what has transpired in this country. You have to understand that, as Lorene said, we were not slaves when we came here. We were doctors, we were scientists, we were lawyers, we were teachers, we were mathematicians, we were all of that. And then they just put us into this system. I'm a preschool teacher. And so it was very important for me, as this program, this campaign came into place, that preschool be added, because as a preschool teacher, you only get 28 days to do very watered down programming for, you know, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. But in doing that programming with them, they grasp it, they understand it, and then they see images that look like them. And in addition to teaching the history of our experience in this country, the history needs to be taught about the whole experience in the Americas. And then we need to address the fact, you know, that Africa had a civilization that was extremely prosperous before colonization. And, you know, let's just lay it all out on the table. And yes, that does mean that we will become awakened and realize we were never the majority, or excuse me, never the minority, that we were and have always and will be the majority. Now, if that makes a certain group of people frightened as if they're going to lose their power, then, you know, let the chips fall where they may. But at this point, this has to stop. It has to.
Well, you know, I think that, you know, if you're a young person today and you're really trying to figure out, you know, how do I educate myself, because, you know, the school system is failing me and, you know, helping me understand, you know, Black history in this country. There are a ton of online resources now that are available. You certainly do have the opportunity to, you know, go to various Black museum websites and start to educate yourself that way and learn about their collections and the history that, you know, many of the Black museums hold. Obviously, the African American Museum of Black History and Culture in DC, the Smithsonian Museum, is a great resource. The Schomburg, you know, Center for Black Research and Culture in New York is a great resource. So there are a lot of resources. There are a ton of national historic sites through the National Park Service that are, you know, sites of Black history. So there are various ways to start to teach yourself about these things, you know, until, you know, the grown folks fix it. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. It's on us to fix it because it's not working. And, you know, young people deserve better. They deserve a better education from a Black history perspective than we got when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not the case right now. So in the interim, you know, definitely, you know, start to look at things online, different resources online. And, you know, we can even provide, you know, some links and stuff at some point for students. We're going to start to build more of that on our website and be more of a resource in that perspective as well. But there is a lot of stuff that's out there. There are a lot of great, you know, books that can be read, a lot of great
Yes.
websites that can be visited. There are some great documentaries. I mean, PBS does a really good job with, you know, various documentaries around Black history. So that is a definite resource if you check out their website. But, you know, unfortunately right now it is on, you know, every, you know, individual Black person and Black parents to take that on until we can get the education system in this country to do a better job.
Thank you.